A trial began today in Australia involving the media and the abuse allegations against Cardinal George Pell. High-profile journalists and media organizations are charged with breaching a gag order on reporting on the sexual abuse charges, which have since been overturned. 18 individual journalists, editors, and broadcasters face possible prison sentences. A dozen media companies face fines. All have pleaded not guilty. EWTN Newsroom correspondent Colm Flynn joins us now. Colm, good to see you. So tell us, what are the nature of these charges against the journalists and media organizations? What are they facing?
Good evening, Tracy. Well, just to give you some background first, in 2018, Cardinal George Pell, he faced two separate trials of child abuse in Australia, one scheduled to take place after the other. He was found guilty and convicted in the first trial. And so, in order to make sure that he had as fair a second trial as possible, the courts ordered that a suppression order be placed on all the details in connection with Cardinal Pell's two cases. Now, Tracy, this order is also known as a gag order, which prevents all media, that's TV, radio, print, online, from reporting the details of the first case, including not publishing the Cardinal's name or the outcome of the first case, to ensure that the jurors in the second trial of Cardinal Pell would not be influenced or swayed in their decision. This suppression order was active across all of Australia and applied to all media outlets. Well, after the first trial that convicted Cardinal Pell of being guilty, the story was covered by a number of media outlets in other countries who were not bound by the same suppression order in their territories. These were outlets like the Washington Post and the Daily Beast. Now, some of those publications did go as far as geo-blocking the articles so that Australians wouldn't be able to access them. However, others did not. Then, a number of media outlets in Australia, the ones who were being prosecuted, started publishing stories about Cardinal Pell's case without naming him, but alluding to who he was and where more information could be read about the case, i.e. pointing to those articles from overseas outlets that were accessible online. For example, some of these articles in Australia talked about an unnamed high-profile figure being charged with serious crimes, like the Herald Sun in Australia. They wrote about censored. That was the headline of an article, and while it did not name Cardinal Pell, it invited its readers to search for more information online. A popular radio presenter in Sydney encouraged his listeners to do a Google search and read about the unnamed high-profile person who was found guilty of an awful crime.
Colm, what media organizations are being charged?
Well, Tracy, now prosecutors in the state of Victoria are charging 10 journalists, 5 newspaper editors, 4 online publications and 12 media outlets with breaching the suppression order. That's 30 separate respondents. All media companies and journalists denied the charges, some even claiming they did not know there was a suppression order in place. However, emails which have been obtained in connection with this trial show that most of them were perfectly aware of the suppression order, but they decided to publish their vague stories about the case anyway. And of course, as we know, the second trial against Cardinal Pell was dropped, and the first guilty conviction was overturned by Australia's highest court.
Do we know how long this trial is expected to last, Colm?
Well, Tracy, the trial began today in Australia and is expected to last up to 15 days. And if found guilty, the individuals could face fines of up to 100,000 Australian dollars each and 5 years in prison. And as for the media organisations, they face fines each of up to $500,000 Australian dollars.
Okay, Colm, thank you for your reporting tonight. Colm Flynn, EWTN Newsroom correspondent. Thanks again, Colm.
Thank you, Tracy.